Hey, anybody, if you were here a second ago, guess what? You saw this screen. This is the screen where I said that Smoke and Mirrors is happening today. And then we went to this screen. But it wasn't working this way. And so I wasn't happening today. But now, guess what? I'm happening today. And now we're happening at 4:26. Welcome to Smoke and Mirrors. It is 4:20 somewhere. Listen, I don't know either. I have no idea what was happening either. I don't know why I was showing you backstage. That's rude. No one's even allowed back there. Shout out to some people. Greetings, greetings, greetings. So good to see you folks. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. There's a lot to talk about today. I've had a lot on my mind, had a lot on my mind, as it were. If you were here a few seconds ago, then I apologize. If you were here a few seconds ago, I just sounded like I was in St. Louis. Not inappropriate given some of the theme of today. If you were here a few seconds ago, greetings once again, and apologies for what the fuck ever happened there. As you know, if you have been on this earth, Mercury is in retrograde, and Mercury can go. And let's not talk shit about Mercury because it's not quite out of retrograde yet. And do you have a hot bevy? I do. It's delish. I am having what seems to be my 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth cup of coffee. Had a hard time waking up today. If you were here before, I'm sorry I have to do this once again, but I do. Here we go. Boom! If you want to become a patron of this here sort of thing, you can do that. Join our friends, Kristen, Michael, Renice, Tracy, Natalie, Tarika, Juliet. They are great people. And you know what makes them great people? It's not that they give us money. That's not it. That is not it at all. What makes them great people is that none of them is a murderer, as far as we know. If you do join at patreon.com/Smoke and Mirrors CCB, what's going to happen is you are going to end up with that card right there in your hand, a trading card, a playing card, trading card. There's no game to play with it. It's got my face. It's got a joke. It's a good time. My face is on this thing here because last Saturday and sábado gigante, I was on an episode of Myelin and Melanin, and we had been getting some feedback that it was maybe pretty good. This premiered on the 4th of July. Of course, it will continue to be there. There will be a new episode this week. I do not bring it up again as a humble brag. I bring it up as a transition because if you did listen to it, I hope that means you are looking forward to my guest who is going to be here with me on Thursday, July the 9th. It's going to be Linda Shavers. She is a lecturer at Harvard University. She lectures about some black stuff. So we're going to talk about black stuff because black. So that's going to happen on Thursday. Again, apologies for being a second late there. Didn't mean to. Got my cuppy cup, got my warm bevy. Today I am right now having a little bit of Game Changer from my friends at Bloom. That is Bloom Portland. I heard some feedback that just saying, Bloom may have sent one of our viewers on a wild goose chase. You know, as I say that, as I say any axiom anymore in the United States, I really sincerely hope it's not wildly racist or sexist, and it probably is. It's probably full of all sorts of misogyny that might have been used to have been called like a wild nigger hunt. I don't honestly know. I don't honestly know. You find these things out. You can learn it in a book. Anyway, from my friends at Bloom, today I am indulging in a little bit of Game Changer. If I get to a second taste, that will be Mandarin cookies. You know, in the comments, feel free to, you're going to need some self care today. I promise that. Okay. So feel free, if you're going to stay, you don't have to stay either. And that's a fair choice too. But if you do stay, you may need some self care. And if you do, feel free to go ahead and leave in the post, you know, what you're puffing on, what you're doing there. Let your friends know. Let your friends know where they can get some of it. Does it get delivered to you? Are you able to stay home? Do you have a friend who brings it to you? Are you truly quarantined like me? Or are you one of these motherfuckers who's out in the street and pretending like we are not in the middle of a pandemic? Why the fuck are you in a restaurant? Also, you know, support the restaurants. One lives beneath me. If we're honest, we all benefit. So, you know, but also get out of the restaurant. Go home. I'm not saying don't have a little pickup, little food pickup, but takeout. Whether it's called takeout or pickup, it sort of depends on. I think it's regional. Might even be by country. I might be talking shit. Anyway, listen. Today I wanted to talk about a thing. Today, what I want to talk about. I'm gonna have to be looking over this way a couple of times today as well. I apologize. No, we've gotten really good. Okay, watch this. Earthquake. Spike Lee. We've gotten pretty good at not having to like do it community television style. I've been able to look in the camera. It has been less distracting how many cuts away and forward and whatever. And we've had the lighting getting better, sound getting better. It's going to continue to get better. I promise you this. There's things in the work now. I'm hoping is maybe as early as next week. I don't know. We'll see what happens. When that does, format will also change a bit. I'm looking forward to that. I think you're going to be excited for it. There's going to be some neat things happening. And it makes me have to admit out loud that what we do here is a show. Ugh. Which also means that if it doesn't work, that it's a failed show. So that's a bit of why that's scary. But after 55, 60 days of doing this in this format, and I think pushing 80 since it's been just locked in to the degree that my finger just starts doing shit like that, it's pretty comfortable. It's pretty comfortable. And so let's be honest, we're doing a thing and we're doing a bit of a show. So this one in particular is going to be about flags. Flags. I want to talk about the ugliest flag in maybe the most dangerous flag in contemporary times. Okay? No, not that one. That's not really the one we're talking. Okay. Also dangerous. Not really the flag we're talking about right in this moment. While this flag is dangerous, we know that there's a whole lot of gaslighting and bullshit happening, in particular from 45 because of his want for there to be an apology somehow, I believe, from Bubba Wallace for their being found in a stall, in a car stall, a noose, and that the response of NASCAR was to report that to the FBI, and so the president wanted there to be an apology for that. Fuck him. And also, no, that's not what we're talking about right now, though. Also, shout out Bubba Wallace. No, it's a different flag than that. And it's a dangerous, dangerous, gross, ugly, 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 ugly flag. It's not that one. It's it's that one. It's that one too. It's also because see this one is tied more closely to the other one, the one I really want to talk about, than you might initially suspect. Oh yeah. Yeah. There she is. There she is. There's my friend. Huh? If you're unfamiliar, this is a flag. This is a flag that they call the thin blue line. Was the original name of it. It is now more popularly known as the Blue Lives Matter flag. The Blue Lives Matter flag, just to contextualize, is a flag that was created by three cops. And it was created by three cops as a direct counter movement to Black Lives Matter and a counterbalance to Black Lives Matter. It showed up after Black Lives Matter started making public protest of institutional racism. Now, that's interesting because the only reason it would seem that one would have to be against the dismantling of institutional racism would be as if it is the in fact job of your institution to do the racism. So it's sort of like admitting that you're racist to have a Blue Lives flag matter, and it is certainly racist to then call it that. Because when you say anything lives matter, what you are doing is parroting the work and the ideas of, again, three Black and queer women who coined the phrase Black Lives Matter together, a phrase that sparked a hashtag, that sparked a movement, that sparked a global phenomenon. Which is part of why you hear haters like Lord Jamar and so many others shitting on it. Because they didn't think of it and the boy didn't think of it, right? That's really what's going on with a lot of that bullshit. But when you hear anyone say anything, including All Lives Matter, or Blue Lives Matter, what you are hearing is somebody trying to erase Black life, much as cops are known to erase Black life. The other cute thing about this movement is that this movement was came along with the idea that blue is a life, meaning that if a cop ever lost one's life in the midst of duty, they could, in fact, charge whoever took the life of said police officer with a hate crime, giving special status to the police, the same as were they, I don't know, disabled or even Black. Seriously, what are you smoking? We're going to want to talk about it. We're going to want to talk about something, unless you're not smoking. Unless you're not smoking. So, anyway, it is ironic that we are in a circumstance where that is what's happening with the thin blue flag. Now, why is it the ugliest and most dangerous flag right now? Well, Because I think, quite frankly, it is still a flag that carries with it a level of disguise for white people, and in particular for liberal white people, or for liberals who want to believe that there are such a thing as liberal white people. Girlfriend, there aren't. And the thing is, there are aspiring white people. I do believe this. There are people who are embracing their humanity, who are deprogramming themselves of whiteness, but liberal white people is not a thing. And I say this because we know that white people will vote against their own interests if they believe that the program that they're voting for is going to benefit a large number of black people. This is historically true, right? So it is a dangerous thing when we find that the police are wanting to protect their own lives with the ability to sue people and prosecute them. Again, cops and prosecutors having a very close relationship under the idea that they are somehow victim of a hate crime if in fact they're abused. You see, the police want you to believe that they are the victims of a hate crime. The police, who have been abusing protesters in the streets, would like you to believe that that was not done from a place of hate, yet they are the victims of a hate crime if they happen to lose a life in the line of duty. That is not a truth that used to be true. Now, one of the things that makes this very, 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 very dangerous is tied to the way that white people view police, right? Again, a lot of folks have been talking about abolishing the police, dismantling the police, making sure they don't have exempted immunity, and it matters, right? Because the thing is, white women are globally renowned for using the police or attempting to use the police to execute black people, right? Like our old friend Amy Cooper in New York City. You remember Amy? Amy's the one who lynched her puppy to try to see to it that the police showed up and then executed Charles Cooper. Now, that did not go her way, in part because of Lindsay Cork, who was a friend of ours here on the show. You can go back in episodes. I think it was maybe the second time we ever did a conversation, and we talked about why Lindsay ratted out our friend Amy because she knew what Amy's job was and made sure that Amy lost her job. One of the reasons I wanted to talk to them is because, like myself, she's petty. Lindsay's petty. I'm petty. I go for it. You know, you cross the line with me, you cross the line with my people. Sometimes I have to come for your head. I just do. And what I liked about this story is that she decided that Amy Cooper's head needed to be served up on a platter. Now, Charles Cooper doesn't feel the same way. I don't blame Charles Cooper. This is not an indict Charles Cooper for not stringing up white ladies video. That would be weird. That would be sadistic. No. Charles Cooper is very likely going to earn tickets to heaven that I certainly am never going to see. Other part of which, I don't know what the devil looks like because I didn't bring him. If I do go to hell, I promise you, and I am not the first one to have thought or said this, it's going to be far more interesting than heaven. Also, good news, our friend Amy Cooper has been charged with false, what the hell was she charged with? I have a note because I wanted to say this right. Amy Cooper is charged. That's all it says. I thought I knew. Basically for bullshit, calling bullshit. They're calling bullshit on her. Her arraignment is October 14th. So happy forthcoming October. October. Oh, we should get an Oktoberfest beer. That would be a fun celebration. Oktoberfest beer. Come on, let's do it. We'll do that on the 14th of October, when we will actually have photos that look more like a perp walk, and instead of this. And it's a bit traumatizing to have to relive the goodness of what happened. I do know that. So here's the thing: is this sometimes though too? What's dangerous about that attitude, right? That Blue Lives Matter attitude, which again is an attitude about keeping black people in their place, because it is the erasure of Black Lives Matter. That is the point of Blue Lives Matter. And Amy was trying to use those blue lives to snuff out a black life, Charles Cooper. Other folks who were hoping to snuff out black lives or certainly intimidate them and terrorize them would include our new good friends, Mark and Patricia McCloskey. Mark and Patricia McCloskey. These are the folks who we have been referring to as Ken and Karen of the Armed Set. I wanted to give you their real names. I think it matters because these folks are lawyers, and it also matters because these folks are out here with other lawyers trying to say that what happened is that they were the ones who were actually terrorized by seeing 500 black people coming down their street. Now, the theory being that it was terrorizing because, and they saw it as terror because it is a private residency, a gated community, meaning that the gate had to be removed for the folks to be able to walk through to get to where they were going, which was where? The governor's house. This had nothing to do with these folks. They really did not need to involve themselves in any way, form, or fashion, and yet they chose very much to do that. I am saying, and looking down now because I wanted to share with you that this happened in St. Louis. So there's our call back to St. Louis, and to me sounding like Nelly at the beginning of the show, stumbling over my words. At any rate, another fun fact is that this couple already is known as a couple who has been pulling guns on people. They have already been in a 3-year battle over pulling guns on folks for walking over this small particular stretch of sidewalk in front of their homes that they say is their property, that the city says is not their property, and the community says go to hell. The last people they pulled guns on were actually neighbors who walked across the part of sidewalk that these folks claim is theirs. Like, I don't know, settlers or any of the beneficiaries of the gigantic land giveaways that happened and created most of the white population of Portland, Oregon, where I happen to stay. Excusez-moi. That was disgusting. Hey, I have more things to say, though. Guess what? This is not the only couple where this is happening, where this idea about regulating black life is showing up. You remember our friend. This is our friend, Jillian Westerberg. Now, Jillian Westerberg had pulled a gun on a mother and child after she damn near ran over the mother. The child said, "Mom, look out." Mom jumped out of the way. There had been a little argument before, a little tete-a-tete in the parking lot. The mom, after jumping out of the way, tapped on the back of the car, and hey, we met a new friend. I know this is a lot. It's a lot for me. I don't want to see. Do we have a better picture? Can we seriously? Can we fit? Ricardo, do you have one? Do you have a better picture over there? Oh, that is a better picture, isn't it? I like that picture a lot. This is a picture after Jillian, who is 32, along with Eric, her husband, who is 42, were were charged with felonious assault. So I do look forward to more pictures like this in the not too distant future. That said, and there have been many, many reports on this. I've talked about it for a very long time, both in stand-up, which this clearly is not, and in some of my workshops. The reality that white people tend to come out with these moments of wild, wild, wild escalations of violence. In fact, I've said before publicly, there's never been an actual police, a race riot in history. There have only been police riots, and they have been police riots when folks whose race they could identify, meaning black or brown folks. And I do say or brown folks because I include the Zoot Suit riots that happened after World War II, that the police and or the Navy and or whatever the armed wing is of the military decides they're going to riot, or the deputized wing, or the Klan, many of whom happen to be, in fact, part of and in the institution of the police, which makes it very problematic for them to try to go and stop the Klan, but very easy for them to try to stop Black Lives Matter. I can't think of a single thing that could possibly have been the reason that that might be what they're doing. Yet there seems to be a connection, right? And I think there's a reason that maybe we have never, ever seen a cop put a whole lot of pepper spray in the eyes of protesting Klansmen or skinheads. Yet we all have etched in our memories or our experiences, if you happen to have been one of said protesters in any point in your life, and especially now, who was gassed. And if you are one, never forget, and I thank you for your service. All heroes don't wear capes. Hey, let's talk about how else this bleeds out, because it is dangerous. It's one thing when we get the individual, yes, who is calling for a murder of a black, and in the time of a new time, I would say, renewed time, if you will, of lynching across the country, one that does in fact parallel the last pandemic, right around 1901. I did talk about that in a previous episode, another fun episode of Smoke and Mirrors. That the lynching is going up like that, and so are the terrorist threats of whites, who, again, many articles and books have been written about the fact that they are terrorists, which I think brings into question the idea of whether or not they are fragile, or there's such a thing as white fragility. I don't believe that the whites are fragile. It's not my experience. It's not my experience. I do not believe that the whites are fragile. I think that gentility, right? Their act of being genteel, that is fragile. But whiteness is not fragile. If whiteness is fragile, where I would think that there would be some mountain at the foothills of which there would be just piles and piles of broken whites. And I've looked for it. I've looked for it like white people looked for El Dorado. And guess what? I never found it. I just have not seen it yet. But what I have seen is whiteness itself not break. What I have seen it do is to become more resilient. I have seen it to become more expansive. And I have watched it through the process of things like the census begin to swallow anything, everything in its path, as it did with Italians, Jews, I'll take you. That's great. Irish, nom, 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 you're last. Because we used to call you black Irish and we used to call you white niggers, but, we'll take you. Also, if you are Appalachian, we'll take you too, but we're going to distinguish you as white trash. Let's be clear, because we don't really want to call you white all the way. We will now take, though, Mexicans. Thank you, census. We will also take all of your Aboriginals, meaning all of the indigenous folks and the natives. Nom, 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 nom. And niggers. No, we don't do that, because for this binary to work, there has to be a black for there to be a white, and for there to be a white, if it's losing all of its privilege, meaning the money is gone because we're now in the middle of a recession that is turning into a depression. The power is gone because you don't go to work anymore. No one gives a fuck what you used to do. Your so-called cocoon of safety is gone, meaning that, oh Lord, you have to see other human beings somewhere near the planet or where you live. Yucky! 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 They might get their nigger on me! They might get their nigger on me! Then you have to respond. And the thing is, they have a very limited vocabulary from which to choose. We've talked about this before too. The entire whole social script of whiteness can be boiled down to three things: fuck it, rape it, buy it. That's it. There's nothing else. If you cannot buy it, as you could, those lovely, lovely khakis and that nice pink shirt, if you cannot fuck it, meaning you could rape it, you could do something with it or whatever, then you've got to kill it. You've got to kill it. There's nothing else you could do. There's nothing else you could do. And so they resort to their guns. They are more afraid of jail than they are afraid of killing niggers at this point. We don't know how long that's going to last, though. But what we do know is that they absolutely 100% positively do want to kill black people and the race traders who would ally themselves with them. Meaning, any brown people or any white people who recognize the whole of their humanity and would not want to align with whiteness, but would rather want to align with the movement of Black Lives Mattering. Meaning, protesters. They want you dead. How do we know this? Well, because people like my other good friend, Terry Houston, are here to let you know. They're here to let you know right here on their Facebook pages with the rhetorical questions that they're asking. Now, I want to make absolutely clear that we all understand that the question being asked here is not a question that is being asked because it's truly a question, because Terry knows the answer to the question. She knows that all of our city supervisors are right here in the city, and she also knows that our mayor continues to violate human rights by using tear gas, by using bombs that are louder than anything that is allowed in warfare, and by provoking protesters to engage with police, by having police engage with protesters armed to the teeth. And what is Terry's question for us all? Are all the city officials in Portland out of town? These are not protesters, they are thugs destroying our city. Shoot a couple, it will stop. Well, that seems quite a bit extreme to me. So I had a thought that I would respond to Terry. And at first I was going to be a snarky little asshole, but I thought, you know what? Let me lean into my humanity. So I did, and I said, hi, Terry. A couple of those protesters are dear friends of mine who are also born and raised Portlanders. Your call for murder is distressing. Is there someone we can call for you? I think a personal safety check might be in order. So Terry Houston of Gresham, Oregon, and her sister thought it a more delightful move to then begin to try to troll, which I find delightful. Because what I don't think that people understand is that folks on the internet and internet trolls, those are my light work. I kind of just poke them for fun. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, I carry a stick. I'm aware that I'm poking the bear. I am aware that I'm walking around with a stick, just poking at racists, seeing if they'll do anything or if I'm in a racist coven. This person happened to be on my friend page. That's how that came across these little ohos. Those ohos right there, the ones that do not work without these big giant glasses that, quite frankly, could see Mars. I don't know if you remember Sally Jesse Raphael, but this is from her collection. Listen, I don't appreciate a threat to the person of my friends or to the persons who are protesting on my behalf as an immunosuppressed person who cannot be in the street and who, as I've mentioned many times, would otherwise be. This is here I sit. Here I sit. And this is what I have to offer. So if I see you out there advocating murder, geez, I feel like I got to say something. And I feel like I really do think it might not be a bad idea for someone to have a safety check for Terry Houston of Gresham, because that is dangerous. That is dangerous talk. And your Nana's not well. Your Nana's not well. So hopefully someone's going to check on her. That's my friend, and I want my friends to do well. I say this from a place of love, as Uncle James taught us. If I love you, I have to make you conscious of the things you do not see. So, the danger, of course, being that as she's calling for folks to shoot some of these protesters, guess who has guns aimed at the protesters? It's cops. It's cops. So she's doing very much the exact same thing that our other good friend, Amy Cooper, who is now facing charges and will actually be arraigned on October 14th. I had to look up arraigned. So for anyone who doesn't know, what that means is that's the part where they bring you in court and tell you precisely what the charge is that you are facing. So they're going to get up in her booty, and we will have poachers. Court poachers? I don't know what that means. Can you poach the court? They certainly do poach juries. They poach juries to make sure that the courts work in favor of white women, like Amy Cooper, who will probably not be convicted of anything at all, including the hate crime that she committed when trying to have murdered our other good friend, Mr. Cooper. But my new good friend, Terry, was also trying to have people murdered in the street, and I didn't appreciate that. So that said, hey, a thing happened. A thing happened, and this is going to circle back around. I swear to you, it is. Let's take another breath. Let's take another breath together. It's getting good. Here we go. One more time, shout out to Bloom Portland. This is the Mandarin cookies. Nummy nummy. Daddy loves his num nums. See, that's why I don't lean into the hypermasculinity. If I do, it kind of goes there. Let's just all agree. Auntie likes her treats. We'll just leave it right there. Here's the thing. Okay, what were we talking about? We were talking about Terry, my good friend Terry. I don't give a shit if people come for me. If you were here with me and Michael, you know, people have come for me for a very, 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 very long time. former friends. That's how they can get under your skin and next to you, really close to you. Former classmates. Perhaps people who just decided to observe and maybe work for, I don't know, any number of government agencies. Who the fuck knows? Klansmen, sure. Hate watchers, yeah. I am comfortable with it. I'm okay with it. I'm not welcome. I'm not inviting it. I don't want it. But I do expect it. It's to be expected. Again, limited social script from which the people who are trying to have conversations with me, who are really saying, Auntie, we need a hug. Oh, it is for you, sweetheart. And don't know what to do. And so they grab their little guns because their social script is that big. If they come for me, when they come for me, I don't give shits, especially on the internets, okay? It gets different, though. If you slide into the DMs of my family. Like, if you were to slide into my blood sister's DMs, right? My baby sister. My baby sister is a middle-aged woman and a mother of 3. I am an old. But if you were to slide in the middle of my baby sister's DMs on some bullshit, like you were gonna just out of nowhere, unsolicited, no prior conversation, never having been in anybody's DMs before, come with some bullshit where you were sharing an article with a public poll suggesting that the public, white people, vastly prefer the phrase "all lives matter" to Black Lives Matter 2-1. Now, I would assume that we're not polling protesters or prisoners, many of whom are black because the prison industrial complex is racist and designed to lock up black people for free labor, because that was part of the whole thing around the 14th Amendment and the reason to make sure that there is still a way to get labor, which was the reason for slavery in the first place. The racism was born and intensified more deeply as a matter of race, simply as a way to keep the riches in the coffers of the aristocracy, as we all remember. But all of that said, this person decided that what they wanted to offer to my sister is an article that maybe just think about it. My sister answers very politely, we try. Before it gets petty, we start at Oprah. Please and thank you, as you will see from my previous engagement, if you would please consider all lives matter when Black lives matter. Now, they have always, from my perspective, not taking accountability for anything I and my family have never done. Racism goes both ways, unfortunately. Not privileged overs here worked for everything we have ever had. Again, this is an unsolicited drop into my sister's DMs from her neighbor, former neighbor, a neighbor to whom she no longer lives. She had just moved when this neighbor slid in. It was this neighbor here, Mike Wiley. If anybody wanted to shout out another one of our new friends, his name is Mike Wiley. If anyone's wondering, I mean, look at what a catch he is. Look at him. He looks happy and sane and balanced. And it is a happy, sane, balanced man like that. It would take that to get them a catch like D. You gotta get you a D. If you got you a Mike, get you a D. Here's the great thing about Mike and D that is super duper interesting. What is the problem with this that is so irking me so much? Is it just that they slid into my sister's DMs and so randomly based on nothing. I thought I would drop that in the middle of a little post I was making, of a little show I was doing, and just razz people and air out my whites. I like to air out my whites like it's springtime. Do you know what I'm saying? Like a Klansman likes to air out the whites in their closet once in a while because otherwise they get a little stanky manky. No, it's not that. This actually does tie into what we've been talking about this entire time. Here's what the problem is. The problem for me is this. It is that all flags matter. All flags matter. And that flag has been most recently aligned with both the rebel flag, we talked about that a little bit before, but also with the Nazi flag. And it has been aligned with the Nazi flag by Nazis who have taken up the cause of Blue Lives Matter, hoping to make blue lives an actual life, and again, a protected class, so that when they get into any kind of battle or armed resistance with black folks, who they keep trying to instigate into some kind of armed resistance as though black people are protesting with arms. These are mostly peaceful protesters. I don't know what you're doing. Outside of course, the cops who are instigating and showing up at the protests dressed as protesters and destroying property. Except in the instances, of course, where you murder black folks, for instance, in the parking lot of Wendy's, do jack shit, and then find your property being lit up. That might happen. Other than that, black folks aren't really touching property. Protesters certainly are not touching property. Protesters, like those that were walking through the property of that gated community, were going to see the governor's mansion to say Black Lives Matter again and again and again until she got sick of it. So far, that's where we're at. That's the level of protest we're at. And yet, Nazi flags are being not only adapted and adopted for the purposes, Blue Lives Matter, flags, Blue Lives Matter, Nazi flags, Nazi Blue Lives Matter flags, flag your Nazi Blue Lives Matter. The DNA is wound, is what I'm trying to get to. And the DNA is wound deep. Now check this out. This flag that I keep showing you, this is not some mysterious rando flag, okay? This is a very specific flag that flew at the house of one Alexander John Feaston. I hope I'm saying his name wrong, but I do want you to know his name. Because what this Nazi motherfucker did is to shoot a young person, 28 years of age, who had stolen his Nazi flag. She had stolen it on a dare from her friends because they hate these Nazis. She was running up the driveway away from the house when this motherfucker came out onto the deck and shot her four times with a shotgun. Her body was found in a ditch. She will live. She will live. He is being tried with, let me see if I can find it here. Yes, here it is. Intent to kill. Because again, if you are shooting at people, it is the intent that you are going to kill the people. For instance, when my other friend Terry said, hey, I was not saying murder, I said shoot, as though she was on some Joe Biden liberal shit. Again, liberal shit about, no. I'm talking about winging a nigger. I'm not talking about necessarily killing one. If a cop is shooting at a black person, the idea is that they are going to kill. If a Nazi is shooting at a black person, the idea is that they are going to kill. Now, This flag matters to me so very deeply, and the positionality of this flag and the relatability of this flag to this flag, because this flag happened to fly right outside of the house of my sister's former neighbor. That's right, these good folks, Mike Wiley and Dee Wiley, had this very flag flying outside of their very house where my sister lived. And do you know what happened? My niece had the very clever idea that, you know what I'm going to do? I am going to steal these motherfuckers' flag and light it on fire because I'm so fucking sick of having to come home every day and look at a Nazi terrorist flag flying outside of my bedroom window. This was taken from my sister's back porch. So it matters to me a little bit that this evil motherfucking Nazi flag, which is in disguise, again from the liberals who would like you to wing your victim. Do shoot them. Do shoot them. Definitely do shoot them. Don't murder them, but definitely shoot them. Who should do the shooting? I don't know. How about a cop? Hey, that's a good idea. Hey, you know how we've been finding that there are so many connections between the Klan and the cops and the Nazis are made of the cops and the Klan and the cops are made of the Nazis, and that's how the Nazis are never getting broken up because that's also where the CIA lives. Whoa! Oh no! Oh no! She did not try to steal the flag. She didn't try to steal or burn the flag. Here's the thing. They're not the only ones who have one, even though they have a son who's a cop. The other thing that they have is this: a neighbor who is an ex-Marine up around the cul-de-sac, also with a Blue Lives Matter flag. Colorado's strong. Mile high salute to you. Colorado, come on, get with it. So anyway, that's why I wanted to talk today about that vile fucking flag, because whether they know it or not, both my next door neighbors, my sister's ex next door neighbors, and my Facebook next door neighbor and new friend are calling for the murders of my friends, my niece, and I'm sure eventually myself. I can't imagine where my niece ever would have gotten the idea to steal an offensive flag and somehow desecrate it for her own, I don't know, vengeful fun? I don't know. Anyway, hey, this has been another Smoke and Mirrors. Guess what? I have a guest who's going to be here with me on Tuesday, the 14th. Please join me here. I'm going to be here with my friend Lee Rayford. Lee Rayford is a professor at the University of California, UC Berkeley, and has a project out that we're going to be talking about that, of course, is the one thing that I did not write down in my notes. But you're going to find out more about what that is. That's part of the fun of those kinds of conversations. Hey, do you have any extra change in the folds of your couch, in your pocket, something that you're looking to donate, a way to get your own ticket to heaven. Here's one path. You could donate a little bit to the Marsha P. Johnson Foundation. You don't know what it is? Oh no, that's no good. You know what you should do? Look at your computer or that phone you're looking at right now as soon as we are done and find out more about them. I'm going to make a gross noise with my throat again. So guess what I'm going to do for you? I'm going to save you the sound. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. That wasn't so bad, was it? Marsha P. Johnson Foundation can be found at marshap.org / to the donate. Please do consider donating to that cause. Thank you so much for being here. If you'd like to see me or follow me on IG or Twitter, that is possible. IG is El Caballo Negrito. Twitter is Caballo Negrito. If you have a question, a comment, a thought, a complaint, a complaint, you can fold that and shove it in an email and address that email to Smoke and the Mirrors ccb@gmail.com. Guess what? Our production team is going to read it, and we may or may not get back to you. We might read it on the air, though. It might happen. You could have your very own moment of fame. If you like this, but you're not quite ready to become a patron, you're not ready to become somebody who's committed to the cause yet, that's okay. You can still do the Lord's work and spread the word. Here in this community, we call that passing the J. I appreciate that if you do it, because the thing is, we are never, ever, 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 ever going to Bogart. I'm not going to hold this captive. I am not going to charge you. If you do not have a doubloon to share, no shame. This is here for free since we have been in the quarantina. All of that said, if you are able to share this on your page to a friend, in your stories section, all of that is very, very helpful to the cause and very much appreciated. Thank you very much if you're willing to do that. And if you would like to and absolutely insist that this is so valuable that you have to throw a shekel on it right this very minute, you have to empty your pants of a ruby and toss it this way because you cannot resist any longer. But you are not ready to make that commitment and you do not want to share. You want to keep it secret to yourself. That's okay. You can do it at Venmo at Carlos-Wyndham, WINDHAM, Cash App at $CK Wyndham, or PayPal / me at CK Wyndham. Thank you very much to anybody who has been here for this. Thank you to my production team. Thank you for being here. It does really mean a thing to me that we get to share this time. I sincerely, sincerely appreciate it. I hope it's worth something to you. Sometimes we wonder what the fuck we're doing. Hey, take care of yourself. Take care of each other. I love you very, very much. Please wash your hands. And for God's sake, if you do have to go outside, please wear a mask. See you here tomorrow when I will be in conversation with, I don't remember who, but oh boy, I said their name at the beginning. Okay, bye.